wanted to kill my mother since I was 8 years old, and I'm not proud of that. It started with surrogates at a non-human level. Physical objects, my possessions, other people's, destruction of things that are cared about, and then destruction of things that are living on a lower level, small animals, insects, animals, and then finally people.
This is Edmund Kemper. A giant standing on 2 meters is a serial killer which was active in 1970s. Edmund Kemper's first murder was committed on August 27, 1964, when he was just 15 years old. The victim was his grandparents, Maud and Edmund Kemper, who lived in North Fork, California. This crime was a significant precursor to Kemper's later more notorious murder spree. Edmund Emil Kemper was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California. His early life was marked by a tumultuous and troubled upbringing, and it is often considered a key factor in his later criminal behavior as a serial killer. Edmund Kemper's parents had a strained and dysfunctional marriage. His parents divorced when he was young, and this had a profound impact on him. His father moved away, and Kemper was raised by his mother, Clarnell, who was described as abusive and domineering. From a young age, Kemper displayed signs of psychological disturbance and cruelty. He reportedly killed small animals and displayed a fascination with death. He had a difficult relationship with his mother, who would often belittle and berate him. She frequently told him that he was worthless and no good. In 1957, at the age of 8, Kemper was sent to live with his paternal grandparents in North Fork, California, due to his parents' divorce and his mother's instability. The separation from his parents and the subsequent tumultuous relationship with his grandparents played a significant role in his development. At the age of 10, Kemper, already displaying a fascination with firearms, learned to use a .22 caliber rifle, a gift from his grandfather. During his stay with his grandparents, he killed his grandparents' pets and displayed troubling behavior. Kemper's grandfather had a rule that the rifle was only to be used for hunting, which led to his first murders when he violated this rule. In August 1964, when he was just 15 years old, Kemper had an argument with his grandmother, Maud Kemper, and shot her in the head with a .22 caliber rifle while she sat at the kitchen table. He then killed his grandfather, Edmund Kemper Sr., when he returned home, shooting him as well. Kemper was charged with the murders of his grandparents. Due to his age at the time of the crimes and his troubled mental state, he was declared a juvenile delinquent and sent to a state hospital for evaluation and treatment. Kemper spent several years in a state hospital where he underwent extensive psychological evaluation and therapy. In 1969, at the age of 21, he was released from the hospital and deemed fit for release, despite concerns from some psychiatrists who believed he was still a danger to others. After a few years from his release on May 7, 1972, Kemper was driving in the area of Santa Cruz, California, when he encountered 18-year-old Marianne Pesce and her 18-year-old friend, Anita Lucchesa, who were hitchhiking. Kemper, using his friendly demeanor and a seemingly benign appearance, offered them a ride in his car. The victims, trusting the seemingly non-threatening Kemper, accepted the offer, not suspecting the danger they were in. Kemper drove Marianne Pesce and Anita Lucchesa to a secluded wooded area near Alameda County. He likely engaged them in conversation during the ride, further gaining their trust. After arriving at the remote location, Kemper turned violent and attacked his victims. He forcibly restrained and likely incapacitated the young women, rendering them defenseless. After killing Marianne Pesce and Anita Lucchesa, Kemper engaged in gruesome post-mortem acts with their bodies. These acts included dismembering their bodies, which he later described in chilling detail during his confessions. On January 7, 1973, Kemper encountered Aiko Koo, a 15-year-old high school student who was hitchhiking in Berkeley, California. Kemper lured her in the same fashion and drove Aiko Koo to a remote and wooded area in the Santa Cruz Mountains, far from any potential witnesses. Kemper then turned violent and killed her by strangulation. After engaging in disturbing post-mortem acts with her body, he scattered body parts in the wooded area where he had taken her. After his horrible reigns for several years, on April 20, 1973, he called the Santa Cruz Police Department and asked to speak with an officer he knew, Sergeant Michael Alufi. Kemper confessed to the murders of his mother, Clarnell Kemper, and her friend, Sally Hallett, at his apartment earlier that day. His confession was calm and detailed, and he expressed a desire to put an end to it all. In custody, Kemper provided detailed confessions to the murders of 6 young women. In addition to his mother and her friend, he disclosed the locations of the victims' remains, which helped law enforcement recover evidence and verify his claims. When asked about his grandmother, he said, "I just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma."
We killed the girls.
My frustration, my inability to communicate socially, sexually. I wasn't impotent, but emotionally I was impotent. I was scared to death of failing in male-female relationships.
City, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it. I was scared to death and I was violent.
Edmund Kemper was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of his mother, her friend, and the 6 young women. His trial took place in 1973, during which he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. However, he was found guilty of all counts. He was sentenced to life imprisonment as the death penalty was temporarily suspended in California at the time. Kemper's life behind bars, including his good behavior and cooperation with law enforcement, mention his involvement in providing insights into criminal psychology and behavioral profiling. Note his repeated denials of parole and continued incarceration. His character appearance can be seen on a Netflix series called Mindhunter. Support us for more videos.